Hey guys, if you enjoy this episode, please support this podcast by going to talkmurder.com/join and becoming a Talko Supremo. Hi, my name is John, and I like to party. Can you imagine me in a club?
Excuse me, I think someone's dad is here to pick up someone.
Not quite my style, but just like any of you, I enjoy a great story, especially if that story includes a full string of Christmas lights, a bottle of the finest champagne, and of course, a quote, trailer park tranny from Austin, Texas. And yes, my friends, those Christmas lights are shining brightly. This absolutely unbelievable but totes true story is as freaking outrageous as it is fabulous. So grab yourself a pink raspberry Cosmo, lace up your platforms, and enjoy the ride.
Let's play the party freeze game. Now remember, when I say freeze, freeze. And when I say dance, dance. Dancing, dancing all around. Dancing, dancing, dancing. Dancing any way you please. But stop when I say
Oh, I'm definitely going to get some Facebook comments about that one right there. That was the Freeze Dance by the Kaboomers, the kids' music channel on YouTube. You can find them there. And it's actually relevant to tonight's story in no way whatsoever, and I apologize. So enough with my shenanigans. Let's get on with today's episode.
And I have the coronavirus. Just kidding. I kind of was afraid I did have the coronavirus, though, because I was on a plane.
Yeah.
I was like, what if I sat next to somebody who traveled, who has it, you know?
Travel to China?
But don't worry.
It's everywhere.
It's not the coronavirus. It's just the flu.
Just the regular flu.
Yeah,
but
which
that
the flu is fucking
deadly.
killing people.
Yeah, you have strain A.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you back, Nicole.
Thanks. So what are you guys drinking tonight while I'm drinking my ginger ale and feeling like I'm going to die?
Yes. So the hint that John gave us was Andy Warhol. And I associated that with the pop art movement. And so we're drinking Midori sours because like they're bright green, which kind of reminded me of the pop art movement.
They look like Mountain Dew. No, I don't want to taste that.
No, I was going to say you can taste it. And then I remembered that you had the flu.
Yeah.
Not just like you have the flu. Haha. No, like you actually have the flu.
I legitimately have the flu.
So, I mean, no, please taste it. I could stand to lose a few pounds. I'm telling you.
I haven't lost anything, unfortunately. Although maybe after today I have. My voice sounds terrible.
All right, Nicole, Miss Coronavirus.
Yes.
Where are we going? Who are we killing?
I believe...
And don't say Andy Warhol, even though he was murdered.
Was he? I thought he killed himself.
No, he actually died of... And I want to do this story eventually. He died of gallbladder surgery. But
Really?
it was inflicted like 9 years earlier from someone that shot him in the stomach.
Damn it, that was going to be my guess, was the story about the lady who shot Andy Warhol.
I think the episode takes place in New York in, I'm going to say 1994, and I believe that this is like an art heist story.
Ooh.
And
Like the Pink Panther?
someone... Yes, someone gets shot when they're trying to steal an Andy Warhol painting.
Ooh. Who the fuck wants to steal Andy Warhol painting? Talk about the worst artist that has ever existed
I
in
like
the fucking
Andy
world.
I think it's cool.
I think it's shit.
I mean, he's no Van Gogh, but that's cool.
Van Gogh sucks. What are you talking about?
Don't even go there with me.
I like the apps where you can turn yourself into an Andy Warhol painting. Or like, you know, the dog
pictures.
The dog pictures.
Oh, you know, Shep Ferry has an app.
Does he really?
Yeah,
really?
It's a augmented reality app where you can walk through his gallery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Los Angeles in the 70s, and I think the story may not actually be about Andy Warhol being shot, but I think it does have to do with the woman who shot him and her association with a cult.
Oh.
All right, well, let me read you guys what I wrote on Facebook because everyone else guessed too.
Did anyone get it right?
No.
Oh.
Interesting.
I think it was too hard
And we did not see the hint on Facebook
because
today.
You told us not to.
the last hint was too easy and everyone got it. So I put, hey guys, we're recording tonight for tomorrow's new episode, and I was wondering if anyone can guess this story. The story is, well, superficial and highly inappropriate. It was suggested by our Encyclopedia of True Crime Stories, Savannah. So I won't drag this hint out or make it too fabulous. I'll simply sum up the killer with a quote from a famous artist. Quote, don't pay any attention to what they write about you. Just measure it in inches. End quote. That's from Andy Warhol. So no one got it right. So no one gets the surprise shot tonight. Sorry, guys.
I'm dedicating this surprise shot to the Gillises who we ran into at the World Beers Festival, some of our tacos that we saw at the Columbia show. So thanks, guys, for coming out, and loved hanging out with you on Saturday. Surprise shots! Surprise shots! We don't know what they are because they're a surprise. 99 butterscotch.
Oh, fuck.
I liked that.
Not good.
Was that right?
No.
Oh.
This is Rams Point peanut butter whiskey.
I liked that a lot, actually.
From Kentucky. This whiskey has the sweet and salty taste of peanut butter combined with premium whiskey. Pour this one on the rocks or combine it in a drink for a fun cocktail. A real crowd pleaser. That's Rams Point. Ram it up your ass.
I feel like that's not part of their marketing,
Yeah.
but I liked it.
That was delicious. Ooh,
Very interesting.
It has the aftertaste is, it's familiar, and I can't put my finger on it what it tastes
It's
like.
peanut butter whiskey.
I know it's peanut butter whiskey, but I can't put my finger on exactly what it is that it tastes like. It's very good though. I liked it a
Oh,
lot.
sweet. Tonight we are going to New York City, the
Good
Big
job,
Apple.
Nicole.
And we're actually going to around that time, 1996 actually.
Whoa, good job, Nicole.
Nailed it.
All right, we're going to March 17th, 1996.
St. Patty's Day.
Is that St. Patty's Day?
Yeah, it's the most important day of the year.
We're in the
After Jen Collins Appreciation Day.
we're in Riverbank section in New York, in Riverbank West, an apartment there, the killer's apartment actually.
Ooh.
And so how I'm going to do this story is I'm not going to tell you really how the story ends. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the murder, and then I'm going to go into the backstory because it's very important with this story. And then we're going to jump back at the very end and talk about how they, two killers, disposed of this person. And then we're going to finish up like that. So I'm going to do a little teaser. All right, so we're going to Sunday, March 16th, 1996. We're in the home of the killer, Michael Alig, A-L-I-G. You guys heard of him?
No.
Okay, so we're in his apartment that he shares with another guy. This other guy, his name is Riggs, but everyone calls him Freeze. Okay, like, you know, Freeze. How you spell Freeze?
F-R-E-E.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call him Freeze from now on. So Freeze actually walks into his apartment, you know, from doing whatever he was doing. This is a Sunday night, and he hears Michael, his roommate, arguing with somebody. He doesn't know who it is because Freeze and Michael share this apartment together in New York City. So someone is at his apartment, and it's not arguing like, you know, screw you, man. Give me my money, all that stuff. It's arguing like, I'm going to kill you. They're in the heat of the moment. Michael is on his back and he's getting choked out by this guy. Now, his name is Angel Melendez. That's his name. He is actually a drug dealer.
Okay.
Okay, so the drug dealer, and I'm going to get to the backstory later, but the drug dealer comes to the house because Michael owes him money. And when Freeze walks in, the drug dealer is literally in the process of killing Michael. Okay, and he would have killed Michael if Freeze, his roommate, didn't walk in and stop it.
Okay.
So basically, he walks in and he's like, Michael, what's going on? He opens up Michael's bedroom door, and there they are on the floor. He's like right next to the wall. And this guy, Angel, the drug dealer, is slamming Michael's head into the the floor.
Damn.
Boom, 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 boom. And all Michael says is, help me, get this fucking asshole off of me.
Ouch. As someone who's like had multiple head injuries, I can't even like think about that without getting some sort of pain.
So immediately Freeze finds the first thing he can to use as a weapon. And in these stories, it's always a hammer, right? Go back to Giovanni Versace's story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's always a hammer that you grab the first time, right? I don't know why. Anyway, this is actually the confession that Freeze made after they got caught. And we're going to read from this.
On a Sunday in March, I was at home in my bedroom with a friend. In the other bedroom, Michael and Angel Melendez were loudly arguing. I, at one point, heard a little crash like a glass breaking. Then I heard the argument progressing and getting louder. I opened the door to the room and started towards the other bedroom, for I stopped just outside the bedroom door, at which point Michael was yelling, "Help me! Get him off me!" Angel briefly turned and said, "Stay out." Then he grabbed Michael either by the shoulder or around the neck and started shaking him violently and banging him against the wall. He was yelling, "You better get my money or I'll break your neck," or something to that effect.
It sounded like he was already trying to break his neck, but what do I know?
Get my money or I'll break your neck.
I remember Michael looked right at me with a sort of pleading look in his eyes. I grabbed the hammer, which was in the closet directly to my left. I stepped forward and hit Angel over the head.
He actually hits Angel, this drug dealer, in the head 3 times with a hammer before he even gets off of Michael. Okay, so Michael gives him that look. He goes, grabs the hammer, and in like the passion, the heat of the moment, he just boom, hard as he can on his head. But like the adrenaline is pumping so much in this drug dealer that he doesn't even notice it. And it took him 3 like full swing, like a Sammy Sosa with a baseball bat on his head for him to get knocked out, or at least to get off of him.
Damn, like, I don't know. I feel like you could have just tackled him if you're a grown man, or like, then you could have outnumbered him, and I don't know. But I wasn't there.
Trying to get him off of Michael and maybe knock him unconscious, I was in a panic and very concerned at the level of anger Angel was displaying. After the first blow, he turned and grabbed for the hammer. He might have gotten his hands on it. I'm not sure, but I snatched it back and hit him in the head again. He started to go down, but he was still pissed off, and he started going for Michael again. So I hit him a 3rd time, and he went down.
At this point, Angel is off, and he's not unconscious, but Michael gets up, and he is literally got his second wind. He grabs a pillow and he basically puts it over this unconscious drug dealer's face and just starts snuffing him out with his pillow.
Mm-hmm. At this point, Michael got onto his chest and was strangling him with his hands. I yelled, "What are you doing?" Michael seemed to be very angry at this point and was cursing at Angel. He then took a pillow and put it over Angel's face. I made him stop by either telling him to stop or rising him off of Angel.
At this point, Angel's pretty much unconscious. The pillow is on his face, and now the guy who wrote this confession, Freeze, is trying to pull Michael off of him from killing him.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael, as you'll see later, is just a bundle of joy.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well,
And-
I'd have to say, like, so if Michael's argument is like he was trying to kill me, like it's past the point of being able to defend yourself, because if this guy is unconscious, like, and not attacking you anymore, like you're not defending yourself. It's after the fact.
He does get off. He was like, all right, whatever. And he storms off into the kitchen, and he opens the cabinet, under the sink, and he grabs a bottle, and then he comes back. So his confession then goes on. I then walked into the living room and possibly to the bedroom. When I returned, Michael was beside the body again. Now, this guy, this drug dealer, is still alive. He was only hit in the head with a hammer 3 times. Your head's pretty thick. You're not going to die. Well, most people aren't going to die.
Depending on what kind of hammer it was. If it was like a regular hammer, maybe not. But if it was a sledgehammer, like...
I noticed that Michael was beside the body again. I noticed a broken syringe on the floor by the body, and Michael was pouring something from the bathroom. Now, what this something happened to be Drano.
Ew.
He was pouring it into his mouth.
Oh.
Into Angel's mouth?
Into the drug dealer's mouth.
I again screamed, "What are you doing? What is your problem? He's out." And then started wrapping the tape around his mouth. He asked for the duct tape from the closet and said, "You have to help me." So I helped him finish wrapping the tape around Angel's mouth. Then I left the room.
Okay, so that's where we're going to start with the murder. So basically, here's how it happened. Freeze comes back to his apartment. It's nighttime. You know, he thinks everything's going to be quiet, even though there's New York City, so everything's in chaos anyway. He walks in there.
Well, yeah, it's a city that never sleeps.
He walks in there, and then this random guy he knows this guy, the drug dealer, is beating the shit out of his roommate. He goes, grabs a hammer, boom, 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 3 times. He's out. Michael puts a pillow over his mouth. Freeze yanks him away, and then he's like, fuck it, I can't deal with this right now. And he goes into his room. He comes back to see Michael actually pouring Drano in the guy's mouth.
I feel like that's just not necessary at that point.
And then wrapping it with tape. So it's like, you can't spit it out. But this guy is literally unconscious. Okay, let's talk about Michael, shall we? This is what Michael looks like. And this is from Geraldo, my favorite talk show host.
Oh, Geraldo.
He's got the best mustache.
He lives in Marion, Massachusetts, Nicole.
Oh.
Or is from there.
Indiana. Now, what do your old friends in Indiana do you expect?
That's Michael.
What are they thinking watching you right now?
Oh, he looks like
Love your haircut. I mean, it's just sensational.
Well,
low maintenance. I see that. It's great.
I don't know.
Club
I guess
kid.
they're jealous because I'm having a lot of fun and they're not. I'm making a lot of money, having a lot of fun, and they're not.
I get the orange ears and the pink nose, but why the lipstick?
I'm not wearing any lipstick.
Serious question. Is he trying to look like a clown?
He doesn't look like a clown.
He looks a little bit like a clown.
He does. I thought he looked like a clown as well because of the way that he had his makeup. But like, what is his purpose in life?
All right, let me talk about Michael the killer's background. Okay, when he was a child growing up in Indiana, okay, this kid you just saw the one that looked like that grew up in Indiana.
Oh, so like, farming.
And now he's in New York. Okay,
not
but
farming.
When he was a kid, he used to watch horror movies with his mom. Now his mom gets divorced, and she's going to kind of come into play. Her name is Elka. Okay, she does make an appearance in tonight's story. He did grow up poor, and he was what they call, and I guess we still have this today, just not this drug, but a Ritalin child. Basically, your child is just all over the fucking place. Here, throw some Ritalin.
So he had ADD or ADHD?
I'm super creeped out by the way he looks.
I think I'm too drunk to be creeped out, but
One time while snooping through his things, I discovered Michael Alig's unpublished memoirs. In them, he goes on for eternity about digging a hole to hell when he was a child and listening to the furnace at night, thinking it was the voice of the devil. Sure, it's a sweet bit of foreshadowing. We see his paranoia, his fascination with his dark side.
Wait, so they only prescribed him Ritalin and he had all these things going on? Like, he probably should have been seeing a counselor.
Okay, so he actually grew up and he went to what they call an experimental school. They don't have these anymore.
Like the hippie schools?
Yeah, kind of. So
They have them.
basically, do they?
Like the
Yeah.
Montessori skills?
No, not the It's basically like they would have these specific schools that were public schools. They would put all these kids in a room and basically applaud them for anything. It was like, you can't do no wrong. Oh, you made an F, but you...
So that's where this all started.
Trophies for everyone.
Oh my
They get to
God.
choose.
Yeah.
Everyone's like taking
Yeah,
art
it's very
class all day
free.
long.
Don't get me started.
It's the hippie age.
I
Okay.
work in public education, so please.
No one's vaccinated.
Okay, it was the hippie age. Now, he actually wanted to be a catalog model ever since he was a little kid.
Did I tell you guys the story about how I was almost a Toys R Us kid?
Now, when he was a young lad, he wanted to be a catalog model. And in Indiana, I mean, ain't nothing but corn out in there in them parts. And you're going to go to school. He's got all these pictures of himself. He's taking pictures of himself and like all these Dior or whatever magazine shoots or whatever. He's trying to be like
J.C. Penney.
It reminds me a lot of like a Luca Magnotta.
Yeah.
it does remind me a lot of that. Now, his mother,
I still have to watch
Elka,
that.
is divorced, or at the time, and that probably did bring some strain on the relationship, especially when they grew up so poor. But from the book that we're reading tonight, the mother was, quote, a blowsy Shelley Winters in her sex pot days.
Who's Shelley
Whoa.
Winters?
Now,
She's
Michael
an
was
actress, I
actually
think.
raised by his two elderly neighbors. So after the father leaves, this older guy named Earl and his wife Claire Bell, they swooped in and they kind of raised him for
That
the
was
mom, because the
nice.
mom is kind of
A floozy?
Train
not
wreck?
a floozy. She's just
Disaster.
kind of
Hot mess?
a hot mess. Yeah. What do you guys think this story is about? The hint was Andy Warhol. You saw the guy. Give me, based on who Andy Warhol is, because he's a very, very big player in this story. Tell me what is going on.
Did he work for him?
I think that maybe Michael was a model that aspired to be a subject of Andy Warhol's work, or was trying to break into the industry by making his own look. Like, because no one really wore makeup like that.
Yeah, was he trying to be like Andy Warhol's muse?
He was trying to, like, start a movement, like the sexy clown models. I'm not saying he was sexy, but, like, that was just, like, his kind of, like, demeanor.
When Michael was in school, he did bring a girl to prom, but obviously he grew up gay. And his mother actually says that prom date really defined to her. He himself knew he was gay, but he was trying to almost pretend he wasn't. Or
He was living in the closet.
I don't think he was living in the closet. I don't know. Just listen to his mom.
Michael was putting on a show for me to satisfy me, that he was taking a nice young lady to the prom. It was sad for her, too, because she didn't know, and I didn't know about Michael's lifestyle. I didn't find out until he was in college that he was gay.
He moves to Fordham University in New York City. Now, he's always had this dream of going to New York, as I'm going to talk about here right now. Okay, what do you know about Andy Warhol?
Campbell's soup.
Campbell's Soup,
He was the
which is also that documentary we watched about Mr. Brainwash.
Oh, I want to see that. That sounds
You
good.
remember?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
guy,
yeah. Who
what
wanted
was that
to-
guy that
Banksy.
does Banksy? It was
Oh,
the
yeah.
Banksy documentary.
You'd probably recognize his paintings because he would paint the pictures and then he'd have them in different like shades.
Yeah, different shades and colors. It was a kind of like a movement.
Okay, so a little bit about Andy Warhol from what I know. I
He
think
wore
he's
sunglasses. He was blonde.
actually no, he didn't have any hair at all. He's bald. He was bald. He just wore wigs,
Oh.
and he would wear different wigs every day.
Did he have trichotillomania?
Okay, so Andy Warhol, he was actually from a small town too, but his parents were Czechoslovakian immigrants. Both of his parents were. He invented the pop art. A thing about Andy Warhol is he also had the dream of New York City. He wanted to be with the celebrities. Okay, that was what his art was about. It was all about the self, and not like in a good way. I mean, it was about
Conceited?
it was about vanity. Okay, that's what it was about. It was about, I'm just so hot and so better than everyone. That was the movement. And I'm probably not explaining it right. His art brought on a new era of art called the New Realism movement. And that was what he created personally. And he was a big influencer downtown. He dies in 1987. And that's basically when the story takes place tonight. Because that guy you saw, he's not the only one like that. You saw Michael Alig. He's not that only guy.
That would paint his face like
in
that?
fact, he looks very normal compared to some of the other people in this story.
What?
Do you guys know what celebutantes are? In 1987, a guy named Michael Musto, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit because he's very influential in this very specific time period. Now, there's a lot of murders that happened in New York. So why is this one right here more popular than anyone? And it was so popular, in fact, that Macaulay Culkin actually made a movie about it, even though
Really?
he's kind of a shitty actor, even though his brother's really good.
Oh, his brother is in.
I don't know if he's a shitty actor or not. I haven't watched any of his other stuff.
You never seen Home
He
Alone?
was excellent in Home Alone.
Yeah, but that was
He
like
was a
it.
child actor. Why has he even been in anything recently?
Yeah, he's
couple
been in
things.
this. So anyway, this movie that he made is called Party Monster. Is basically the book we're reading today,
Oh,
and
I
it's a
heard about that.
fantastic book. It's very, very wild
I
to
heard
read.
that title before. I didn't see it, but I heard it.
In 1987, a guy named Michael Musto which looks just like the guy from Ghostbusters, which I'll show you here in a second. He publishes an article in the Village Voice titled, quote, "The Death of Downtown." Now, this happened right when Andy Warhol died. He died in 1987.
Okay.
Now, at the time, you guys seen American Psycho, right?
Yeah.
Well, parts of it, I fell asleep.
So you go into the clubs at that time period. What was it like? It was in New York. Everyone was
Cocaine.
not properly dressed, but kind of, cocaine.
Scantily
But everyone was kind of rigid, if you will. Okay.
Shoulder pads.
No, I mean, just classy, if you will. I don't know the right word for it.
Like they dressed up scale.
Uppity.
Uppity. Andy Warhol comes onto the scene with his pop art and completely revolutionizes not only art, but also the club scenes, which clubs are big in New York. There was basically 3 hubs: New York City, Chicago, and San Francisco, from my research. And Andy Warhol came out and he completely turned everything on its head. He was basically poking fun of commercialism and mass marketing and stuff like that. And he made people completely dress differently. Everyone is dressing all wild and crazy, right? Andy Warhol kind of brought on this generation called the celebutante. You'll hear Geraldo in a second ask one of the guys what a celebutante is. But it's basically, you have these clubs that are so A-list and you can't ever get in because all the actors are there, all the guys with all the money, they're doing all these expensive drugs, and a regular person like you and me would never, ever be able to get in there. Not in a club where some movie star is. So you have what they call celebutantes, which is basically this little subculture of kids, trust fund kids, okay, because most of them were your daddy's money, stuff like that. They would come to New York and they create this movement based off Andy Warhol's art, and they would dress wildly. Like just pink hair, like you've never seen this before, especially in the 80s. You know, this was during Soviet era. This was like the Cold War kind of shit, right? So no one has ever seen that stuff. Okay, and then they just come out on the scene and started dressing all this crazy stuff. Well, in 1987, Andy Warhol dies, and that's when that article came out, The Death of Downtown. That means downtown is over. All these celebutantes are pretty much old news. Things are changing after his death. That's how much of an impact this one artist had on this whole thing.
So when that guy had his face painted and stuff like that, that was like during that time frame that you're talking about.
That is the guy that you saw, Michael Alig, is not a celebutante.
Okay.
And I
was going to say because he wasn't rich.
I had a hard time understanding the difference. He is of the new era, called the club kids. So in 1987, the celebutantes go out. The club kids come in. You think of the rap we used to listen to, like Lil Wayne, all this rap that we used to listen to, and now the new rap is we don't even fucking understand it. Mumble rap and shit. We don't understand it. That's basically the shift of the paradigm shift here.
Okay. I'm with you.
So this is Geraldo.
Journalist there. You have chronicled the
That's him. That's Michael Musto.
For many years for the Village Voice. Has, as Suzanne says, the nightlife here in town been rejuvenated by this outrageousness?
Yeah, well, a few years ago when AIDS first made its impact, Nels came on the scene. It was very conservative, very sterile. People dressed in black and posed and flaunted their gold cards, and they were boring.
That's what I'm talking about. That was American Psycho. If you saw the movie, the black cards, I'm rich, I'm a Wall Streeter. It's very boring what he just said. Now, this was right before Warhol changed everything with the celebutantes.
Gotcha.
And this guy is the most influential journalist for this whole subculture, and he's like the dream. If you can get into his magazine column, you've made it.
Huh. So he's the journalist, and then Michael Alig is on the same episode of Geraldo, correct?
Yeah.
With the painted
Along
face.
came this new crop of people, thanks to Suzanne and the club kids, and they dressed up and they made name for themselves. And I mean, I understand even you changed your name at one point, Geraldo.
Oh, that's fucked up. That's fucked.
What was his name?
Michael, for a journalist, I'm surprised you get a story wrong.
Okay, so who wants to see these club kids, as they were called?
Me.
Now, these are the new celebutantes. Go to talkmore.com to see these interesting people.
Oh.
I'm sort of square in all this. I've been out of the scene for 30 or 40 years here.
I'll try and wait for you.
What's the difference? What's the difference between the club scene and raving? Is raving the same?
Oh, God. Well, it all originated in the UK as far as like a decade ago. But
what is raving?
Raving, it's just like, it's just another definition for partying and having fun until dawn or until the next day. Raving, is the definition as you will find in the vocabulary.
I
just
hope
having
that
fun.
person
It's
never
like a
has to go through a
positive,
metal detector.
as my friend in SF would say, it's a high fashion model attitude, and it's really positive.
Uh-huh. What is it, Michael?
Thank you, Michael.
SF. So how are...
That's Michael Alig. This is a different
So
interview.
he's been on Geraldo a couple of times.
Yeah, he's been on like 4 times. Now
Does he
this
have a
is
hickey
his
on
dress.
neck?
No, so in this dress right here, Michael is pulling off the crackhead, homeless man that has beat up. You see, he's got bruises on his neck. These are
Yeah.
painted on bruises. These aren't real.
I mean, that bruise on his neck looks more like a hickey than a bruise.
I'm just so confused why this is like a
thing,
but
How is being a professional club kid? I mean, you really are. I mean,
What?
you
How are you a
stage
professional
parties
club
and
kid? You get
events
paid for
now. You're
that?
very well known. People hire you to bring kids to their private
Beauty is in
parties.
the eye of the person who signs a paycheck.
right there. That's
that's exactly how I
Give you an
feel.
idea of their collective senses of you.
Okay, so these are the club kids.
Wait, so they're paid to go to the clubs to act like this?
Yes, actually they are, which is fucking crazy.
How do I get a job?
Not
Yeah.
all of them are paid. It's hard to.
Is it kind of like being a shot girl today?
No.
That's like being a promoter.
Now we're reading the book called Party Monster by James St. James. He was a friend of Michael Alig's, and this is Party Monster is actually the movie that was created based on the story with Macaulay Culkin.
I'll have to watch that.
Yes, the looks were pretty lame in the beginning, just cheap homemade costumes. I used to feel like my mother on Halloween. And what do we have here? A scary monster, a cowboy, a pretty fairy princess. Here's a hint of ecstasy. Run along now.
Here's a hit of ecstasy. Run along now. Huh.
Okay, so this is meeting Michael Alig for the first time. This is James St. James, which I'm going to show you in a minute.
I saw you on Oprah and I have your picture from Interview Magazine on my refrigerator.
Of course you do, darling. Now, if you'll excuse me.
I'm going to be a party promoter.
So is my Guatemalan housekeeper. But you hang in there, dear. Goodbye.
What do you think of this idea? A masquerade party at the Kit Kat Club, where everybody comes dressed as their favorite Sunday morning cartoon character.
I'd rather have rectal cancer, darling. But if it's sweet of you to ask. Now, good night.
And I ran for the exit, hoping that was the end of it. But there he was again the next night, draped across the Village Voice gossip columnist Michael Musto. And the next night, and in every party, everywhere we went, there he was, smiling and chatting up everybody in the room.
So he was like trying to gain fame. He was really hanging out with this Michael Musto. He was like really trying to promote himself.
He was trying to get famous through this guy, right?
To answer your question, yeah, he was trying to get famous through this guy, but that is what the celebutantes did. Okay, so James St. James is a celebutante. Michael Alig is a new club kid. So this is basically how the celebutantes, which is basically the same, they would basically be these kids that are trying to get in with the it crowd.
Right.
There, I said that's perfect. The it crowd in the clubs. So there was basically an A, B, C, and a D category. I was reading in this one article. In the A category, you get in and everything's covered. Your drinks all night and the food and everything's covered.
I wish.
B category, only like your drinks are paid and you still got to pay other things, right?
Okay.
That's not that bad.
And then C, you can still get in because you're pretty, but you have to pay for everything that you want, drinks, stuff like that. And D, you're just disqualified. You don't even get in. Even though you might be pretty enough, you just don't get in. That's
would be
the
me.
category with these clubs. They're very strict in that time period. Everyone wants to be there. It's the it thing to do.
Why though?
And it turned at one point, if you remember American Psycho, I know that's like the only movie I can reference, but if you saw that, everyone's in there uppity, here's my black card, I got all this money, I'm a Wall Streeter. That changed, okay? And now, because if you follow the money, the club owners who are the one making the money, they saw this change come on, and now the it crowd are these
Club
people
kids.
you see on Geraldo, these guys that dress crazy. So now if you want to be in that ABC category, you got to be one of those people.
Because
so there was
Weird.
these club kids were actually, most of them not even from New York. They would come for 6 months and just dress all this crazy shit and hopefully get on Geraldo or Oprah for 6 months. And just to live the life for 6 months, it's just like an experience,
Well,
you know. It's like going to the Burning Man or something.
Here's my thoughts. The psychology behind that is probably that these people caused a spectacle, and then that brings more patrons to your club. Like, whoa, what's going on at that club? I want to go see. And then they go in and they pay their money and they pay for the drinks and they pay for the food just to see what it's all about. And then it becomes a whole cultural movement. That's just my thoughts. I don't really know because I wasn't like there at the time, but that's just my thoughts on that.
Okay, this is the Celebutantes club system. Like I said, they're not actors. They're not, you know, they don't own the club. They don't own restaurants. So they got to do something to get in the club. So they basically dress this way. And this James St. James, who wrote this book, is basically the one that kind of brought all these kids together. Now, he terms the 1, 2, 3 of social acceptance, which is actually very interesting. First, spend at least 6 hours getting ready. Study yourself in the mirror at home.
6 hours. Oh my God, you would
That's
murder
half a
me.
day.
Well, here's the thing about these club kids. They would sleep all day until 7, 8 at night. Then they would get up, do their makeup, hit the clubs at 2, and then be done at 7 a.m. Okay, a lot of these guys are getting their families paying for this. It's like an experience for them. It's crazy. I know. Just stay with me. It took me so long to understand this. Anyway,
Yeah, no, you've lost me because I'm trying to be in bed by 8 p.m. Go on.
study yourself in the mirror at home. Is your hairdo media friendly? Remember, you must be eye-catching but simple. Okay, step 2. Enter the room in a clatter of commotion. Now, this actually does work. This is some psychology behind this. There's this whole group of people called pickup artists that do this very same shit.
Okay.
So you walk into a club and, you know, instead of just walking to a club and just being you know, just normal level. Because everyone usually looks at the door and see who's coming in and out.
Right.
Who's coming in and out. So if you walk in, you know, and you just told a joke to your buddy, you know, and you're just like, you know, you automatically gain this rapport with people in the room. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, people actually do this. So that's step 2. And now enter the room in a clatter of commotion. Circle the room once together, saying hello to every person. Okay, even if you don't know them, especially if you don't know them.
Yeah.
You pretend that you do. Okay,
Right.
Now take 20 to 25 minutes talking to everyone. Then you separate from your partner. And then he goes the other way and retraces your steps. Now you keep going, talking to everyone, but now you're saying, hey, have you seen my partner? You know, my friend, where did he go? Because it's giving you something else to talk about. Then you guys meet up back, and then you do another circle around the room.
Together?
And you say, hey, we found each other, yada, yada, yada. You're always doing the room.
That's
And
kind of brilliant.
It is brilliant. And you only spend an hour and a half, no more there. Then you leave. Because if you spend too longer there, then you're not important.
Right.
These guys had it down to a science. These are the guys up here, the Celebutantes. They would go in and they would just light up the room. Now, you asked, how are these guys getting paid? A lot of them were. A lot of these club owners were paying these guys to do this. In fact, Michael Alig, a lot of club owners in Chicago actually flew him down to Chicago.
What?
From New York?
Yes, to be there and to bring some of his freaks, if you want to call them, or whatever they were, into the club just for the appearance sake. So yes, he was getting paid. Plus, he was a promoter. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
That is crazy. I feel like clubs won't do that. I mean, I get that they would do like that whole
They
A-lister
will
thing.
if the culture changes to that, because clubs in Chicago now they're looking at New York and like, fuck, why can't we do that? Look how much fun they're
behind,
having, all the
yeah.
costumes and shit they're wearing. So you don't think that shit's going to change? Fuck yeah, it will.
And when he first mentioned the 3 hubs as New York, Chicago, and San Francisco, I was thinking to myself, well, why aren't you mentioning LA? Why aren't you mentioning Boston? I was like, because those places don't really give a fuck about the other places they do, and they do their own completely different thing.
He says, finally, regroup and scream with transcendental bliss at the thrill of finding one and other again. Now, lock arms and work the whole room again, telling all your newfound friends, quote, not to worry, we found each other at long last.
Wow.
Shit.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
the whole walking into a party laughing is a brilliant idea.
It really
though.
is. No, it
Like,
is.
shit.
The guy that wrote this book, James St. James, he claims that he only accepted Michael because he was in love with his boyfriend, which his name was DJ Kiyoki.
Ah.
That's scandalous.
Wait, is his name DJ or was he a DJ?
He was a really bad DJ.
Okay. Little Kiyoki was just adorable back then. Cute as a bug. I was immediately smitten. I remember all we were. The entire club stopped cold the first night Michael brought out his hot little Spanish boy toy.
Okay, so Michael meets this guy named Peter Gayton. Now he becomes his mentor. He's actually the owner of a nightclub called Limelight. It was very popular back in the day. And Michael becomes a club promoter, and he was actually very influential. So, all right, when Warhol died in 1987, literally it was the death of the Celebiton era. Literally after he died and that article came out, it went to shit. There was there weren't filling up the clubs anymore.
Huh.
Okay. So someone has to fill that void.
So
You know.
it was the club kids.
It was the club kids.
Gotcha.
Like some scientists said, I can't remember who it is, maybe Newton or something, nature abhors a vacuum.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the club, if there's a vacuum, there's got to be something to fill it.
Ooh.
And
Because
that
someone's got
is-
to go to the clubs.
Someone's got to go to the clubs. It's really hard to explain because when I first started reading this, I thought that Michael Alig was a celebitant, but it's not. He is the club kid. He's Michael Alig. The reason he's so well known, and Macaulay Culkin made a movie out of him, because he started this club kid thing. But you can't just do the same thing that they were doing, the celebitants,
Right.
dressing all
different.
He started
crazy.
his own thing.
You got to start your own thing, and you got to push the boundaries. And that's what he did. And he became a very, very successful club promoter. And he was making a lot of money.
Wow.
I mean, and he was getting flown everywhere and doing this. And he was appearing on Geraldo and all this other stuff.
Must be nice.
Okay, so
it's like the former D-listers became the A-listers
Right.
because
Yeah.
they were just so unique.
his
Right.
big break was an event he called Disco 2000 on a Wednesday
Wow.
night. Every Wednesday night, he would pack Limelight with 2,200 people.
What?
They would be waiting out the doors and everything. It was insane. They had a 6-foot
2,200.
chicken. Here's the commercial that he put on.
I mean, that's like the size of that performing arts center.
Yeah.
Disco 2000.
Look at this.
The theory is that you fill a club with great-looking people, beautiful women, gay people, fashion people, a little bit of drag queens and color, and that in and of itself will make the club hot and get a lot of publicity, the right kind of publicity, and then the
True.
paying people will start to come.
And
Yeah,
that's how it
I
grew
agree with
from,
that.
700-800 to a consistent 2,500 people on a Wednesday night.
Apparently, there is a crowd of people who are attracted to topless green transsexuals and 6-foot chickens.
This is a new kind of entertainment. Let me show
That's
it to
Phil
you.
Donahue.
Watch this.
Oh,
Oh
shit.
my God.
They're called club kids, and they party all night and sleep all day.
Do you see that guy that?
That had the stuff sticking out of
Which
his
one?
ears.
Yes, that is a club kid. Celebitants are just like that, like dyed hair, maybe transsexual. But at the time, public was like, "Oh my God, you dyeing your hair?" So then Andy Warhol dies. That movement ends, and then you have this whole other fucking monster that this one guy, Michael Alig, created. He created it himself. This kid from Indiana.
I mean, like, okay, part of me would want to go to one of these clubs just to see what it's like, but the other part of me, like, too many people. I just looked over at Nicole and I forgot she was wearing
my
her
mask.
SARS mask.
I'm a club kid.
Nicole is a club kid tonight. But hey, okay, guys, we need to go out one night. Not to one of these New York clubs because that's like way too many people, but like we need to go out and like just go. And we also need a designated driver. So if y'all are in the Charleston area and want to DD us so we can experience this club, that'd be great. Okay, thanks.
Look at this guy.
Oh my God. It's creepy.
Oh my gosh.
Now, you remember the drag queen episode we did?
Yes.
So, I mean, look at this guy. He looks like a fucking, like a
Fire.
Not as fire guy, like
He's supposed to be
a
flames.
villain from a superhero
Yeah,
movie.
he looks like Maleficent.
But
Or
can you go buy
Hades
this
from Hercules.
No,
you gotta make that shit.
You gotta make it. So these are all DIY fucking costumes.
How long did that take them?
And it gets crazy too. Like some of these. So here's the scene. Here's the thing. You did this. Now you got to see if you can top it. So here's Michael.
How are you going to top that?
Well, and I'm telling you why.
But you know what? I have to pause you because it's not just here on Geraldo and all this. Like, people do this stuff today, like on The Price is Right. Like, they will dress crazy in
Yeah, but
order
not
to
like
get
this.
noticed. I mean, that's like the Chiquita Banana Woman right there.
The problem with this movement is it is a fad because people don't still do this, obviously.
Oh,
I mean,
to a lesser extent.
it's not like, you know what I'm saying? People have seen it. And that was Michael Alig's problem. He was making a lot of money, yes. But here's the problem. Every week, he has to up the ante even more and more and more and more and more. Okay, let me tell you about some of the ideas that he did.
Okay.
Now, go to talkmore.com if you want to see this video. You've probably seen something like this before. It's basically a transsexual doing a champagne enema on stage.
What? That's so excessive. On stage?
Somebody did a shot.
So many things wrong with that statement.
Her
Like,
name...
first, enema. Second,
oh my God.
champagne. That's
Wait.
so expensive. Number
Wait.
3, on stage. Like, people
Jen, turn around, read her name.
Ida Slapper. Oh, no, that...
Ida slapped her.
Yeah.
Ida slapped
Okay,
her.
no. Another thing about these new club kids that the celebrities didn't have is their names. My favorite name that I've seen is Jenny Talia.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is her doing the champagne enema.
Oh, no. We have to watch this? What the fuck?
Look at it come out of her butt. She squirts it out. Look.
Ew.
Look at it. Look at it. You see it squirting out? You see it squirting? See that?
Ew.
You see it squirting out?
Was that Michael?
No, that was Ida slapped her.
Yeah, I know, but like,
God.
was he in character?
Oh
No,
my
no, no,
God.
that
it
was-
was just someone else
that-
being fucking crazy.
Michael is
Can't
a
you do
club.
an enema with something that doesn't cost like $50 a bottle back
Michael
then?
is a club promoter, so every Wednesday he had to basically bring something new to the table. That's the conundrum. You can't do the same thing because people have seen it.
Right.
Here you go.
The performance that will forever resonate in my head, the one I still can't believe, can't stop talking about, can't stop thinking about, just dreaming about, screaming about, was a gal named Ida Slapter. Just your average, typical trailer park tranny from Austin, Texas. Nice enough. Chatting with her at the bar, you probably didn't give her your full attention. Seen one southern drag queen, seen them all, huh? It's those seemingly normal exteriors, the beehive hairdo, the pennyroyal house dress, the stubble beneath the pancake, that hid truly deranged minds. Watch out for the average. They're usually hiding something big. On Christmas Eve, on stage.
I'm sorry. If I wasn't as drunk as I am, I probably wouldn't have laughed at that, but like, you know.
Does that make sense now when that first quote you read, it was like Michael came out with a blue penis?
Not so quite.
That quote was more disturbing than that. That was entertaining.
I tried to keep you guys like off of the real story behind these crazy guys. You know?
Wild and crazy guys! Like Steve Martin and Martin Short on Saturday Night Live.
On Christmas Eve, on stage, Ida stripped naked and pulled a full string of lit Christmas bulbs at one time out of her ass.
No!
She made her way slowly across the stage, pop and twinkle, until you couldn't help but be swept in the pure joy and awe-inspiring grandeur of the season.
Wait. What was the pop? Did she fart them out? Like,
well,
what,
it popping out of her butthole.
Oh, gross.
A 24-foot string of lights coming out of Ida's butt really reminded you of the true meaning of Christmas.
That was her.
Did she swallow them and she was digesting them?
No,
Like,
only-
honest to
them up
God.
her butt.
Not
Oh, no.
only
No,
that.
those don't belong up there.
She's
Not only
lucky
that.
she didn't die.
Yeah.
Okay, not only that.
They were plugged in and she stuck them
No,
up
they
there?
weren't plugged in. All right, that's what I was about to get to. In the book, he says that guy, James St. James, watched her for 2 hours. She had someone else put not only, 24 feet of Christmas lights up her booty hole, but also
24 feet. Isn't that the length of your
also
colon?
the first thing she put up there was the battery adapter. Because the lights were on, like you said. She pulled them out glowing, baby. They were twinkling. Twinkle, little star. Out of my butthole,
Holy
here they
shit.
are.
I'm sorry, but why does your butthole wide enough to put a battery adapter up there? Like, I want to know, but I don't at the same
How
time.
do you even get that up there?
Yeah, 24 feet. Wait, John, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but can you please Google the length of an average person's colon? Like, how do you get
does she even
24
fit it up
feet
there?
of butthole?
I mean, granted, like, the wires you can compress, but the bulbs, you can't. And if she's lucky, one of them didn't break up her butt.
An hour before her performance, Ida lay spread eagle on the ground, and she had a helping hand. And how? Slowly, carefully, millimeter by millimeter, insert a battery pack into her upper intestine. And if that isn't a true showbiz trooper, well, I'll eat my Ann Miller wig. And they call Gary Collins the hardest working man in show business.
I'm just, amazed. And not in a good way.
A battery pack. Because, double A's are, at least, an inch and a half long. So you got a battery pack is probably at least 2 inches by 3 inches. That's like an average battery pack. Why does that go up your butthole? All right, so as
It's
women,
against the law of nature.
okay, so as women, obviously we birth humans, and the human head is huge and also a body, but your butthole should not be able to accommodate that.
Nope.
If it was able to accommodate that, then constipation wouldn't be a thing. You know what I
True.
mean?
Okay, so you guys understand this whole movement. I never even knew about the club kids. It was a thing for only a few years, but it really happened. And there were kids all over the U.S. expiring to come here, even if it was only for 6 months.
Kids
To
young
just
adults or
do
kids
it.
children?
I mean, they were.
No, I think he means of drinking age.
Okay, young
21,
adults. Okay,
22.
gotcha.
But no, not only that, because Michael
schoolers.
himself had brought that 14-year-old boy home and a 16-year-old at one point. There were kids doing this. All right, so how can you do this? I mean, there's got to be something involved. Okay, do you guys know what it is?
Drugs.
Drugs. A lot of fucking drugs. Okay, first, they were doing a cocktail of these ingredients. Rofinol, Xanax, and ketamine.
Ooh,
Now, ketamine is special K because I saw this a lot. What is a K-hole? They're all talking about K-hole. You do the special K, this ketamine, and then you go into what they call a K-hole.
That's
It's like this
where you
fucking...
don't fucking know what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah, but it's something that I've seen so many times, this K-hole. This is James St. James. This is the guy that wrote the book. He's talking about what a K-hole is because, I mean, they all did it.
The first couple times I ever did it, and I was like, this is awful. Why on earth would I want to, feel like I'm underwater,
That's him doing ketamine.
Once you get past the K-hole, you can go into K-land, which is what I call it. And that's where all of a sudden you're Queen Victoria, traipsing around Buckingham Palace, and you don't really know where you are, you don't really know who you are or what's going on, but it doesn't matter. Everything sort of makes sense, even though nothing makes sense.
That sounds terrible.
And it's a gorgeous feeling, and that's what we've all been searching for, all the club kids, is to, have our own little world.
So it's every generation goes through this thing with the drugs. Like from the 70s, they were doing drugs, and even the 90s and the 2000s. The problem now is the drugs they're doing kills them instantly. I mean, we talk about carfentanil, which is 50 times more potent than an elephant tranquilizer. It just gets too out of control.
Yeah, today everything is laced with something. You never know what you're gonna get. You can go to the corner and buy like 3 grams of pot, and then all of a sudden you smoke a joint, but it's laced with fentanyl or whatever it is, and
then you die.
And you die.
Okay, speaking of this is Michael Alig's website.
Oh,
and I
his
tried
own
to
website?
spoiler alert, he's out of prison.
Oh. Michael.
Yeah, he's out. But anyway, this is his website. I try to pull information on it, but as you'll see, it's pretty much impossible to get any information off this thing. Look at the
That's trippy as fuck.
Yeah, like you
What
try
the
to
fuck? You can't even read that.
It's like, what the fuck, dude?
He's like trying to drug you with his website. Like you're sober and you're like trying to read it and you can't. I mean, I'm not
don't think
sober,
I
I'm
can.
It
drunk,
hurts
but
my
like at the
fucking
same time,
eyes.
what the
I can't even read this shit.
It's hard to explain, but it bends your thoughts into a non-linear, looping sort of format. It pretzels your thoughts into mealbus strips. You can see everything inside and out and curling all around itself.
Oh my God, I love pretzels.
Close your eyes and it's a whole new world. There's a whole lot of unfolding. Everything just slides away, like many curtains opening at once. And your muscles hallucinate. They feel lifted upward quickly so your stomach drops. Nothing can prepare you for that up, up, up feeling. When you're on the ceiling and the ceiling keeps getting higher, you're borne upon a wave and pushed upward and forward.
I don't think I would like that.
Okay, so here's the deal. Michael Alig was on top of the world. He's making a lot of money and doing these shows. But, and we see this a lot, when you do stuff like ketamine and all these things and cocaine and ecstasy,
it pucks you up.
Here comes the heroin. The fucking killer. The heroin is always the heroin. And Michael started getting addicted to both heroin and crack cocaine. Now, he was making a lot of money and he started spending it all and he started going broke because he ain't the entrepreneur that he was. Now he's just a fucking addict.
So wait a minute. So like ketamine is a gateway drug now too?
I wouldn't say it's a gateway drug, but all right, you're at this club and you just got a pill of something. You don't even know what the fuck it is.
Molly.
And then you're high as shit. And then someone's like, hey, here's some heroin. It's like brand new. You want to try it? It's like all the shit. Hell yeah. I mean, you just literally, as I was reading this book, snorted a 12 line off some dude's hard penis, like in the book. Okay. So why not do a few hits of heroin? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess I can see that, yeah. Like, if you're on a totally different...
You can see that?
Oh, if you're on a totally different planet, then you wouldn't really know what the fuck you were agreeing to, right?
So it's like in this glory hole. Okay, anyway.
That's different. That's something totally different.
Here's the story. This was a fad. This club kids, the celebritants, after Andy Warhol died, there was a fad. And he was cashing in and making a shit ton of money on a fad, kind of like what we're doing with podcasting. And then... eventually that fad dies, and then you start to get addicted to heroin, kind of like...
Well, I hope we don't end up getting addicted to heroin. Like
every
I really don't want that to happen. So.
What do you think is going to happen, Jen?
Hopefully not that.
That is inevitable.
Hopefully I will like promote myself within my career that I have aside from podcasting.
No, it goes for you. Podcasting is a gateway drug. At least
help. Someone help.
When I returned to my senses and came back to New York, I found that Disco 2000 was still hot and Michael was still on top, but the scene had changed. It was darker and druggier than I remembered. Heroin had made its comeback, and Special K, Rohypnol, and GHB everywhere. Coke and ecstasy were considered passé dinosaur food. Now it was all about being super sloppy and out of control. The looks to me were for damaged and plague-ridden, sores and bruises, ripped and ragged outfits.
Ew.
I guess.
Like you saw, like you saw in the last one, the last Geraldo, when he looked like a beat up homeless crack addict.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about. Now, this guy had left and he went to Miami for like a break from this whole life, this author. And he comes back and now it's this whole different thing. And
so instead of looking like someone that was already on crack, you looked like someone that was on crack but also beat up and homeless.
And here's how I think of it. So, you know, I'm a guitar player, right? And, you know, that software I have, I play songs from the 50s to 2000, what are we in, 20?
Yeah.
Literally songs up to today. So
like,
you can see from going from Motley Crue and Poison, yeah, we're doing all these cool ecstasy drugs and all this stuff.
Yeah, but then
to go into Nirvana, heroin, grunge, Alice in Chains. You know, that's the heroin age. That's the darker kind of like You know what I'm saying?
Dirty.
You can see it in music
Well, they
so
call
well.
it grunge for a reason. It's like dirty and like
music is very music in my opinion is based the pop music is based on society, like where we're at in society, and the ones that really stand out. So that's why Nirvana, they didn't start the grunge era. That we were already in it as a society, with the heroin and everything. They just were the first to make music with it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. Like we went to a whole nother, as a society, this depressing kind of heroin and just deep and dark kind of shit, and we did. And you could see that in society. And that's what he's talking about.
Speaking from experience, there are people who have too much space between their ears and given the time, do nothing but free fall forever inside their heads. It's a spooky thing to be left alone inside an angry inner verse. Drugs redirect the fall, they cushion it, they give you a parachute, or maybe just a flashlight and scuba gear. You don't know how you look at the inside of your head, what metaphor you choose, but for those of us with endless yawning stretches of interior and nothing but nothing to stop us from getting lost in it, drugs can be wonderfully helpful. For a time.
See, that's how
He's an amazing writer.
Yeah, he is good.
This book is actually really well
that
written.
paragraph was like, whoa, I want to get lost in my brain, but I want to be able to understand it at the same time. Like, I don't want to be like high and be like, whoa, like, what are these crevices? Like, I want to be able to understand it, like,
what are these crevices?
Oh, I mean, the brain is wrinkly. What do you want?
All right. Did I sum up what this era is about? I know I probably didn't. But like the whole club kids and everything.
Yes.
This is what the era was. I think it was very important to go into that. And it was because of Andy Warhol and all his geniusness. I think he sucked.
So did this guy...
I think all of that fucking art sucks. Okay, go back to Leonardo da Vinci. That guy was fucking talented, man.
Wait. I remembered the quote that I liked from him. It's called, one's a party, two's a crowd, and three's a... One's a party, one's a something. Never mind.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So, all right, let's get it. Let's talk about the murder, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit about Angel, and then I'm going to tell you about how the angel lost his wings, aka his legs, and then he was put into a box.
What? He strutted around the clubs like he was God's own cousin, sporting a ridiculous pair of wings. Yes, wings. Dingy old white wings that were always knocking off my wig or spilling my drink. Oh, he was such a nightmare.
How rude. You can't bump you can't bump into people.
This is Angel right here, actually.
Oh, he is Latino. Oh, look at his shoes. Those look like Lady Gaga shoes. Oh, look at those wings. He
That's
really
him,
was
yeah.
wearing wings. Oh my gosh.
Look at these fucking ridiculous wings. That's Michael Alig.
Yeah, he looks like he's been beat up.
Okay, so Michael kills that Angel guy.
Yeah, but like, did they meet on this show? How did they meet at the club?
Okay, yeah. So Angel was actually a drug dealer. Now, what I didn't go into is Freeze. Remember, Freeze was Michael's roommate.
When you okay, can I be honest? When you said Freeze, it was his name. Like, I thought of what's the guy from The Incredibles?
Oh, I think of
Frozone,
Batman.
Batman.
Mr.
Yes,
Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. Didn't Jamie Foxx play him?
Arnold Schwarzenegger played him.
That's what I said.
All right. So Freeze was actually a drug dealer at one point.
Oh.
But then what happened?
So Angel is impeding on his territory, aka his roommate.
Kind of. Freeze was a drug dealer, but then what happened? We talked about
sobered
it.
up.
Fucking heroin, right?
Right, heroin.
Okay. He starts
opposite of
doing
sobering
heroin.
up. He needed more drugs.
Because a club, he was making a lot of money as a drug dealer. Basically, he came in and filled a market because these kids are needed to get high.
Right, so they're doing different drugs? They're dealing different drugs?
Well, the ketamine, the ecstasy, the GHB, all this shit, this guy was providing it. So he'd walk into the club, which he was in cahoots with the club owner.
Right.
They let him in. He basically dealt his wares.
So more people
to everyone, and he was getting a lot of money.
So
but
more people would
eventually
try to get into the club so that they could buy the drugs. So that's why he was in cahoots with the club owner.
No, but club owners getting kickback with all the drugs. Anyway,
that's what I said.
And so he basically became a drug dealer to sell drugs to these club kids.
Right.
But Free started getting on crack and heroin, and to be a club kid, as you read earlier, you have to spend 6 hours a day on your makeup and your costume and all this shit. If you're addicted to heroin, you don't even want to do all that shit.
No, that's going to take
That's
at least...
the only way you can get into the club.
Well, that's going to take at least 3 hours of your time is shooting up
if
heroin
you're fucking
and then
strung
getting
out
high.
on heroin, you don't do your makeup, you can't get into the club. So this angel guy with these wings, okay, he steps in. Now he's a new drug dealer. Okay, so now you can kind of see.
Yeah.
And Angel was kind of like the he reminds me of the Giovanni Versace killer, Andrew Cunanan.
Yeah.
Where no one really liked him.
Okay.
But they kind of used him.
Yeah, for his drugs.
And that's kind of what Angel was. No one really liked him. Everyone made fun of him, but they used him. And Michael, as a manipulator, because Angel looked up to Michael. I mean, because Michael Alig, he's like the king of club kids. He's started it.
Right.
I mean, he literally started the movement.
He's going from club to club, like promoting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now Michael is strung out on fucking heroin, and he decides to steal like thousands of dollars from this drug dealer, this
shit.
angel guy, right?
That's a good life decision.
Yeah.
There is a fight, an argument. Each one contends in turn that he is owed money. Michael, of course, has been robbing Angel blind for months, stealing his drugs, sipping into his profit margin. Everybody knows it. Angel knows it. But because Michael is his idol, he has chosen not to say anything. Until now.
Okay, now here's what you have called a shift of power. Okay, Michael has been stealing from this guy who looks up to Michael because he's the creator of the club kids.
I can see
now you have this shift of power where this guy named Angel, the drug dealer, is you know what? I don't think you're that fucking cool anymore. He starts to get too big for his own britches.
Yeah, it's almost like a barometer. Like if I'm Angel and I view Michael as like a mentor, it's like, okay, cool. Like he's getting his drugs from me. Like I'm going to start to benefit from being associated with him. And then he keeps dipping into my drugs. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm not getting paid for this shit. And then like he keeps dipping and it's like the barometer keeps rising. And all of a sudden it's just going to be like this blow up. And it's like, you know what? F you, man. Like you're not doing any of this shit. You're not promoting me. You're just promoting your clubs and you're stealing from me. But where's my benefit? And I'm starting to get PO'd. I can understand that.
Actually, I think I was getting drugs from Angel, to be quite honest. And I remember Angel wasn't around and Michael had access to all of his drugs, and then there was just this really strange air there.
And walked in and Michael had a new couch, two new chairs to go with the couch, like an old antique couch with, gold with lions on it with velvet, with red velvet, and a brand new television, one that I got later. And I said, oh my God, where did you get all this stuff? I was like, shut up. Where'd you get all this stuff?
Remember, Michael's broke now.
Right.
He was making a lot of money, but now he's on heroin. So where's he getting all this shit? Well, he stole it from Angel as a drug dealer. He stole all of his drugs and sold them. Now you see a motive for the murder.
Right.
All right. So now let's backtrack to when we first started. When Freeze walks in there, the ex-drug dealer sees Angel, which now you guys know the story. You can kind of see where we're picking back up. He's choking the shit out of Michael.
Yeah.
And then Freeze grabs the hammer.
Okay.
And here, you can read this.
The dead man made a reluctant corpse. He seizes, he seizures, he tries to make it to the door. He looks to Michael for help. Even utters those words. He is confused, hurt. Does he know that it is about to end? Can he think clearly? Can he comprehend the enormity of what is about to happen? Or has his mind short-circuited with the last blow?
Whoa. So, like...
He's a great writer, man.
Yeah. So, like, Angel is choking Michael, and then Freeze walks in and is like, oh, shit, this guy's about to kill my roommate. And so he takes a hammer, starts to hit the guy in the head, and the guy doesn't die, but then Michael starts to kill the guy.
No, he hits him in the head 3 times, and the guy's unconscious.
Right.
Angel's unconscious.
Yeah, but he's not dead.
He's not dead, no.
And then Michael
grabs the pillow, and then Freeze pulls him off, and then Freeze goes to his room, like, fuck this, I ain't dealing with this shit.
Right.
And then he comes back, and Michael's pouring Drano in his mouth.
Correct. And then duct tapes it. Got it.
Angel is over. Angel is no more. If he lives, he will most likely be brain damaged or a vegetable. He may be paralyzed, comatose. Something is very wrong. Will somebody please pick the brains off the floor?
Ew.
Something awful, something irreparable has happened to him.
Oh my goodness.
Now he is still alive and he's crawling towards the floor.
Blood is everywhere. Torrents of blood spilled into the hallway. A trail that starts in the living room pushes its way into the hall past the kitchen, almost to the door. He almost made it out the door, almost free, almost lived, but he was stopped. A third blow to the head or a pillow to the face, whatever.
Then Michael goes and he grabs the Drano. Not only does he pour it into his mouth, but he also syringes it into his veins.
Oh, shit.
Because they were on heroin. He's obviously got heroin needles laying around everywhere.
Find a vein and insert your needles. At the count of 3, I want you to push into Angel's body the steaming, acidic mix of caustic lye and sodium silicates. Try not to look into his eyes and notice not the tears that flow down his cheeks. Never mind the terror and the pain and the confusion he feels. Look away from the betrayal and the death. Never mind the future. Never mind yourselves.
Ooh, this guy's a great writer, man.
Yeah.
At this point, Michael calls back Freeze and is like, dude, what do you say when you just kill someone with your friend?
I don't know.
What's the 4 words?
Dude, I fucked up.
The 4 words you say, no, with your friend. The 4 words they always say in the movies.
We gotta hide the body.
Kind of. Before that, we're in this together.
Oh.
You hit him with a hammer. I may have shot him up with Drano and poured Drano in his mouth and duct tape his mouth and did some things with his penis, but we're in this together.
I may have done some little things with his penis.
So they drag him to
a field.
Oh my God,
The
we've done
dumpster.
so many stories. How do you cut up a body?
Garbage chute.
No, to cut up a body
The kitchen.
in your apartment. Where would you put the body? If
The
you want to
bathtub.
cut, there you go, the bathtub. They drag him to the bathtub. Now Michael looks at Freeze and says, "Listen, you know we gotta cut this up because here's a box right here. You know this Amazon package that came in.
I have like 4 of those
from the gift registry. It's big enough to fit a body, but
that was a big box.
here's the
Came in
thing:
today.
like, the legs don't really fold, so it'd be easier if we just cut the legs off and kind of lay it on top, you know. So here's the thing, Freeze. Like, dude, since we're in this together, if you want me to, just cut the legs off or whatever and put it in this box, I will, but I'm gonna need about 9 bags of heroin.
Oh shit.
So that was the trade-off. Freeze goes to Macy's, which now I'm wondering, every time I see someone in Macy's looking at the cutlery section, I'm gonna think they're trying to cut up a body.
Yeah, what the fuck?
He goes to Macy's and gets like these 3 big ass knives and like a fucking cleaver. A cleaver. He buys a cleaver at Macy's. Okay. And this is the guy walks into Macy's looking like a club kid, Anyway, he comes back and the deal was if he gives Michael Alig 9 bags of heroin, he'd cut up the body and do the dirty deed. And he did.
I definitely am not familiar with the dosage of heroin, but I'm pretty sure a bag of heroin is like way more
It should
than
last
like...
him a while.
It takes a long time to cut up a body.
Yeah, but
I mean,
like...
there's a lot of muscle tendons and stuff that you got to get through, and the bone. I mean, you basically got to break the bone. You know, Jen, how you take a chicken leg and you kind of just and it pops. You break it and it pops.
I mean,
you got to do that with a human body.
Back and forth. That takes like at least 7 minutes for one
like
leg.
the femur, Jen, like to break that, you got to pretty much put all your manpower into that, and you got to push it back and forth a few times.
This is why I will never.
It eventually comes off, Jen. It comes off, but I'm saying it takes a while. Anyway, you can read this, Nicole, because they didn't exactly dispose of the body right away.
He stashes the body in the bathtub to let the fluids drain.
Ew.
They go shopping, invite friends over. Many friends. Never mind the stench. Pass me a straw.
What the fuck? Don't mind the smell. That's normal.
There was actually...
Okay, so that's like if we invited people over to our house right now, it's like Jen hasn't cleaned her bathroom.
Don't mind the bathroom.
There's feces everywhere in Jen's bathroom.
That's not true, but like that's the only thing I fucking think of. Don't mind the smell. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Oh, I just got a body hanging in
there was one. All right, so here's what they did. There was one girl that came over and went into the bathroom, and this is from the book. This guy's in the bathroom. The curtain's pulled, so you can't see him. But his arm literally flops over, and it kind of pushes the curtain out. And the girl says, "quote Oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were in here." And then she leaves.
Oh my God.
and then what they did is they
That's
just
like
pushed.
the most embarrassing thing, though. Like, you're in the bathroom, you forget to lock the door, and someone walks in on you. It's like, ah! Oh, everyone does that, but at the same time, it's like you don't want people to walk in on you. But also, okay, so
what they did was they pushed a mattress up against the door and told everyone not to go in there because they're having plumbing problems. The body's been in the bathtub for 9 days. It smells like shit.
Ugh, worse than shit. It sounds like a decomposing body.
All right,
I can't imagine that smell. Like, no amount of wallflowers or Febreze or anything can hide the stench of a decaying body. I'm sorry.
This is what James St. James asked, because Michael told him straight up.
Was it hard to do? Did you have to hack at it? I asked. No. It was like cutting a chicken. The meat just fell off, and the bone snapped really easy.
Oh, no!
Then he showed me the ordinary kitchen knife he used.
Oh!
The bone, Jen, it snaps easy. And as you see there, it was just like cutting chicken. The meat just fell off. The bone.
Nicole, I love your chicken soup, but I'm not going to be making it anytime soon. No,
He only
thank
cut
you.
the legs off. It's not that bad. Because the arms kind of fold up. And the meat just fell off. You heard it. It may just taste a little bit. I'd taste it. Just see what it tastes like. And you might as well. You're literally cutting someone's legs off.
I wouldn't want to eat 9-day-old
Not
meat.
raw. No, you got to cook that shit if you're going to eat it.
And it's too decomposed. That's too many diseases.
Yeah, 9 days is
Gotta be
too
fresh.
long. Yeah.
Here's how smart these guys are. Because no body, no crime, right? So here's what we're going to do.
Totally.
I cut the legs off. Let's put it in this box. It's like a big trunk, right? We put it in this box after we wrap it in a couple garbage bags. And then we put it in this trunk, and we'll take it down the apartment elevator, literally out the door, okay? And then there was a cab waiting. Now, the cab, the cab driver actually helped put this trunk into his trunk.
What?
And literally stopped on the bridge because the guy was like, Michael Alig, and Freeze was like, "Yeah, can you just stop here?" Like in the middle on the bridge
Like
in New
the
York,
George Washington
the one
Bridge?
that the Hudson River Bridge.
That's the GW, isn't it?
The George Washington Bridge. He stops in the middle of the bridge and he's like, "This is good right here. We'll just take her trunk and get out."
The fuck?
Literally, they're gonna toss it over the fucking bridge.
Like, you don't get out in the middle of the George Washington Bridge. It's a fucking highway. Are you fucking high?
Yeah, but the
They
guy
probably
is like,
were fucking high.
yeah, they were on ketamine the whole time. The heroin, ketamine, and they're fucking high K-holes. That's why I brought up this K-hole thing.
Yeah, go on.
So they got out of the cab, and the cab driver's like, "All right, see you later." I mean, he's from New York. You've probably seen it before. Now, they tossed the body of the trunk into the Hudson River. Now, here's the irony, because they get caught. It's not no body, no crime when the body is floating down the river. The trunk was actually, the bottom was lined with cork. And what does corks do?
Floats.
Corks float. Here's the irony. Angel was floating down the river. Angels float? No? Okay.
They fly.
They fly, yeah.
Whatever. Fuck. Okay. And that's how that story ended. Now, he actually was about to leave. He was going to go to Germany.
Yeah.
Because the talk of the town is like, "Where's Angel? He's a drug dealer of everyone. Everyone wants their drugs. He ain't here." He was last with Michael. Maybe Michael killed him. All these rumors started flying. Michael was going to flee to Germany, and he had his whole thing planned out. But you know what? Just like I said, the Andy Warhol, the vanity, he kind of liked it. He liked the attention. He liked the rumors. And if he would have just left, he would have been fine. But he stayed, and he was arrested. Okay, and
because the police knew right away. Like,
oh yeah, and well, they wouldn't have got charged, but you're reading from Freeze's. He basically confessed within like 2 hours. Like it was,
About 5 to 7 days later, Michael and I decided we had to do something about this terrible mess. It was decided that I would go to get knives or something to help dispose of the boy. I went to Macy's and bought 3 large knives, 2 chef knives, and 1 cleaver. When I got back, Michael told me for that I gave him 10 bags of heroin. He would take care of this part. So I did, and he went into the bathroom alone and cut off both Angel's legs. Then we put each leg into plastic bags and then a duffel bag and separately carried them one at a time to the river and threw them in. Michael put the remainder of the body into a large plastic garbage bag. I got another bag and put it over the first one. After the second bag, I think I taped it closed. We then put the whole bundle into a large box. The smell was so unbearable that I had to put baking soda to absorb, hopefully, some of the odor.
Yeah, so that's it. So he's out of prison.
So what was he sentenced to?
Yeah.
Well, he got, so he did, within hours, Freeze confessed to the murder, as you just read. Michael pleaded guilty to manslaughter and was charged 10 to 20 years. He is out of prison right now. He did try to make a comeback, and it didn't happen. I mean, the fad is over. Now,
Well,
I do want
yeah.
to say what I didn't bring up because we didn't have time. He did call his mother right after he killed Angel.
I was just jerked out of my sleep. How you are, your heart starts pounding, and I heard Michael's voice, but yet it wasn't Michael's voice. He was absolutely making no sense. By that I mean he was not just talking, he was blubbering, and he kept saying, murdered. I committed a murder. And it was Angel, and we didn't know what to do, and little tiny pieces, and have to get rid of it. Mom, what do I do? What do I do? You know, that was it. I couldn't put it together.
What?
Yeah, so he called
I'm
his
so
mom.
confused by her statement. Like,
Well, he also invited his mom before this happened to New York, and she did a bunch of ecstasy with him. I didn't get into that. But yeah, so that's basically the story. What do you guys think?
well, you probably should have called the police or something.
I think it's weird the mom did nothing with that.
Yeah, right?
Oh, the mom.
It was his voice, but it wasn't his voice, so she obviously didn't know if it was him or not. So, I mean, the mom's not
And
right?
she's probably like, oh, this is my son in a K-hole. You know, I've been in K-holes.
Maybe.
And A-holes. Which means assholes, Jen.
Does it? I didn't know.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much for this recommendation. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcasting app you use. If you like this story, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're absolutely obsessed with this podcast and want to become our celebutant, go to talkmurder.com/join. Become a Talkos Primo. Get a badass t-shirt, sticker, swag, a lot of love. Shout it out all over the place. Tell me what story you want me to do. I'll research it, dedicate it to you on the Talk Murder to Me podcast. My name is John, here with Jen and Nicole. And until next time...
Good night, club kids.